Good Friday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock, time for Sports for CLE. Thanks for joining us. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Browns getting ready for an important one in Houston against the Texans Sunday at 1 o'clock, trying to get win number 10 on the year. And some news from the Browns relative to who will be available. Joel Bitonio, guard, listed as questionable for Sunday's game, ruled out. Anthony Walker may need knee surgery. Won't know for a few more days on that. Juan Thornhill with a calf. Ogbo Okenrankwo, Jordan Kanasic, all ruled out for the Texans game. Now, the Browns will get their center, Ethan Posick, back against the Texans. Kevin Stefanski talked about the struggles running the football against the Bears and getting Posick back in the middle of that offensive line.
As you know, Kelsey, that center, it's such an important part of your operation and in the huddle and at the line of scrimmage. And, you know, we don't miss a beat with Nick. We're very fortunate to have Nick in that role, but getting Ethan back there, a guy who's done it for us at a high level the last couple of years, is a big deal.
Were there opportunities there, and also do you feel like you might have to, pull some things out to kind of get that going again?
There's always opportunities. There's always things we could do better. There's always things I could do better when you come up short in that regard. So we'll work very hard at that. I'll tell you, I'll give them a ton of credit. These coaches are pretty good on the other side. These players are pretty good on the other side. So sometimes you tip your cap, but we're back to work and finding ways to make sure that we're efficient and explosive.
Kevin Stefanski talking about the run game. Let's welcome in G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. G. Bush, hopefully Posick, Bitonio back. Hopefully there's some semblance of a run game that doesn't resemble 1.6 yards a carry, because the Browns need more than that.
Yeah, they're going to need some of that. There's going to be some situations where, you're going to need to run the football just to keep Joe Flacco a little clean. Right now, I know we're enamored with it, and they call me the Duke knee-jerk because I get excited when the Browns do things. I get excited when Joe Flacco throws for 300 yards plus yards. However, it has to be somewhat of a sobering situation as we move into the playoffs. You're no longer going to be playing teams that may have some deficiencies in up front as far as stopping the run. You need to be able to run the football a little bit. And the reason you need to run the football just enough is to keep the play action alive and well. Joe Flacco talked about how play action was such a big part of what he did earlier this week in the press conference, and just talking about how they need to keep guys honest. You need to be able to keep linebackers, hold those linebackers for another second, hold those safeties for another second, so that you give some of your young receivers like Cedric Tillman the opportunity to move downfield. You give Amari Cooper a little bit of room to move and roam. And when you see that play action and you are able, and you have to honor that, it gives you just enough space for you to make those throws. And I think that's a huge part of what Kevin Stefanski is doing. I think it's a huge part of what Joe Flacco's done well. And I expect them to continue to make that a big part of what they do. But first and foremost, you got to be able to run the ball, especially when it gets cold outside, especially when it comes to playoffs. And right now, the Cleveland Browns is such a good – man, this is so crazy. I'm just so happy. The Cleveland Browns, think about this. A couple days from Christmas, we're talking about what they need to do to get into the playoffs and what they need to do to ball out in the playoffs. Not regular season or sneak in. We talking running the ball in the playoffs, man. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. The other thing it does is it takes away the opportunity for defensive linemen to tee off and get after what is your 38-year-old quarterback now. Some news from the Texans relative to injuries. C.J. Stroud, not able to go, still in concussion protocol. Will Anderson, really talented young edge rusher, high ankle sprain. He's out. Blake Cashman, hamstring strain, out as well. That means Case Keenum is QB1 against the Browns. That from Aaron Wilson, a really good NFL reporter for the Texans. G. Bush, we know what Case Keenum is. You can't let Case Keenum beat you if you're the Browns.
Hey, listen, I've always made it's tongue-in-cheek a little bit. I mean, I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt. But when you're the Cleveland Browns and you have your whole roster hurt, you just say, shout out to the Texans. You guys have had a good year. You have a good year. Don't want to risk injuries on anybody. However, it's the next man up mentality. And I wish you guys all the best of luck in your offseason. With that being said, When you got that many guys out there that's out in this game, C.J. Stroud, who looked like he was an MVP candidate, Will Anderson is a top 5 pick who gets after the quarterback, and their linebacker who is having a great year this year, you got to understand something. You got to get it done. There's today, next week, we need to get this done against Case Keenum. You know what he is. You understand his deficiencies. You know him intimately. He was a part of this team a couple of years ago. And what you got to do, if you're the Cleveland Browns, if there's ever a day you want to dial something up where you get a quick start, where you can score in your first series, where you get that ball back, put another touchdown or field goal on the board, put them behind the 8 ball and tell them to make Case Keenum, who, by the way, does not have a tank tail, who, by the way, Nico Collins will be playing in this football game from the looks of it. However, injured, banged up, not at 100%. So if you ever had a day as Kevin Stefanski in a game that you really wanted to give your defense a 14, a 10, 13, and God forbid 17-point lead, this is the game to do it on the road. Take them out of the game early. Let them know and understand that this game is going to be over quickly because you're going to have to pass the ball and get Myles Garrett, that defense, and the cornerbacks, who, by the way, when you look at some of the advanced analytics, when you're talking about success as guarding one-on-one, man-on-man coverage, you got the top 3 out of 4 corners in the league that have a 67% a rate of success when it comes to playing man-on-man coverage. When you got Newsome, when you got Ward, and when you got Emerson, and they might be a law firm. They may be a law firm. We might have to go ahead and get that going, some T-shirts or something. But they locking everything down. Air traffic controllers.
All right, Chris Sims, who has come out and has jumped on the Browns bandwagon, loves the defense. This is what he would give the Browns for Christmas. This from NBC's Unbuttoned with Chris Sims.
My only gift to them is, and this is not going to surprise you, is manage Joe Flacco a little bit, okay? He's not a rookie, I get that. We're not managing him, but you do got to be careful about what plays you call and what in certain situations. As you heard me say, if you call a deep throw, he's going to throw it deep. You just got to know that's Joe Flacco. That's what he's been, right? So be careful. If you're going, we can't afford an interception or something bad happen here right now, don't call those type of plays, right? That's where I'd be careful with him. Or, hey, if he's starting to be in one of his modes of holding the ball too long, patting the ball 74 times because he's looking for somebody downfield, and then he gets strip sacked or anything like that, those are other things. Again, be careful in those moments. They got to stay on Joe Flacco. It's not like a rookie, but they got to keep staying on him to go, hey, Joe, remember how those teams were when you were with the Ravens? Remember when they were with the Ravens? Like, you hand it off, oh, you hand it off. Oh, you throw a laser to Anquan Bolden. You hand it off. We punted. Oh, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed play defense, and you get the ball, and we hand it off. And you throw another laser to Anquan Bolden. Touchdown, right? I mean, that's what he's got to keep in mind.
And G. Bush, I'm with him. Joe Flacco believes he can make any throw in any. He thinks he can throw the ball through a keyhole at this point in time. We've seen that. Don't ask him to do that.
But here's the catch-22 and the conundrum you're in. And this is the thing that I'm looking at moving on, and this piggybacks right off what you said about the running game. We have 2 things here, right? We have a match made in heaven, right? Kevin Stefanski has always had the propensity to throw the football. What is one big thing that we've always been on Kevin Stefanski about in terms of his play calling? Give the ball to Nick Chubb. Hey, why didn't Nick Chubb get it there? Hey, why don't we just give the ball off and just punt? Just do little things like that. Stefanski is who he is. At his core, that is who he is. And then you match him with Joe Flacco. Now, Joe thinks he can throw it through anything. He feels like and his arm is intoxicating because for every throw he gives you, the Amari Cooper spread the triangle defenders in between. He's going to give you a throw. You be like, man, that should have been picked off. Oh, that just hit the DB's hands. Oh my goodness, we wouldn't want that back. So here's what we're fighting against. If we can't get that running game together, we need the running game is our version of intervention. The running game is an intervention when somebody says, "Hey, G. Bush, we love you to death, but you're doing way too much on the cologne." We know intervention. Bring it back a little, dial it back. So we got to have the intervention working with this running game. We need Kareem Hunt. We need Jerome Ford. We need Pierre Strong to be able to get some yards on this ground. Joe Bitonio is questionable. Ethan Poaches is going to play. That gives you the middle of your line back if you can get you a Joe Bitonio back. And I think the run game will respond to it. But here's the thing. If that run game is not working, get ready for it, folks. It's coming. Get ready. It's going to be some 40-throw Joe Flacco's. I'm telling you right now. If that right, because they're not going to cry about it. They're just going to drop back in 7-step drops. That's what they're going to do.
All right. So this is from CBS Sports. Bold predictions. Joe Flacco becomes the first Browns quarterback to throw for 300-plus yards in 3 consecutive wins. If the run game is not going, G. Bush, I don't think that's very bold. I think tell me if he's going to hit 400.
Hey, it might listen. He feels, because here's the scary thing. It's a gift and a curse. When we were down in the third quarter, what we've been talking about a lot is, hey, manage the game, leading to one of your defense. When you got DTR, when you got PJ Walker, and even sometimes when you had Deshaun Watson during the season, it hasn't looked as if you're down a certain amount of points, you're out of the game. One thing Joe Flacco has brought to the table and has opened up a package for you is saying, yeah, I might throw him 2, but I could throw you 3 in a minute and really quickly in a hurry. And we saw that last week. We go from down 10 points, that game looked like it was over, to Joe Flacco throws 57 yards, Mark Cooper touchdown. Then he throws the bomb, to Goodwin, and we haven't seen that all year. So now he's starting to open up some things that we can really get to. 300 is not that. I mean, he doesn't have to throw for 300 for the Browns to win, because their defense is so good and their defense can get you some turnovers now. But I think that's child's play for Joe Flacco. I mean, he's out here unlocking David Njoku. It's just all about it, the matter of, is he going to give you 2 turnovers, maybe 3 turnovers, or throw 4, turnover-worthy throws during this game? Because he's going to give you the 300 yards and about 2 touchdowns. So the prediction seems good to me. That's not too bold.
All right. So this is kind of interesting. If Kevin Stefanski wins Sunday, he will tie Bill Belichick with 36 wins as a head coach of the Browns. And amazingly, that's 5th most in franchise history. That surprises me. But that's what happens when you've changed coaches so quickly.
This is a funny thing. Sometimes this sneaks up on you. You see it in basketball a lot. They give these stats out and they drop them and they say, LeBron is the first person to quickest to 1,000 points, 2,000 points, 3,000 points. Oh, did you know he's the top 5 in assists? Did you know he's all-time leading scorer? Matter of fact, do you know he's in the top 20 in rebounding? He's hit the most threes all time in the playoffs. I said, what the, besides Steph Curry? You're looking at these stats, you're like, when did all this happen? Well, when it's sneaky, it sneaks up on you. And watch Kevin Stefanski. He has an opportunity to win 12 games. The Browns have won 12 games once since the merger. And that was in, I believe, 86 with Bernie Kosar. They won 12-4.
Yep.
If he can win out in all 3 of those games, look like they are something that can be wins, he will be 12-5. If he does that, I expect him to be coach of the year. Now, let me ask you a question. How many coaches in the history of the game can say, I've won 2 coach of the years in 4 years?
Not many.
That is creepy. Like, and now you're looking it up like, wow, he's in the top 5 of wins for the Browns. He's won 2 coach of the years. Now when people like nitpick him over, because hey, listen, I'll tell you all the time. Hey, we got to run the ball, Kev. We talk about his play calling, but these statistics are kind of creeping up here. Yep. And I'd be willing to say Kevin Stefanski is up for an extension, to be truthful, and he's more closer to getting an extension than being fired.
Oh yeah, I fully expect an extension, and he's gonna be here for a while. All right, this is interesting. Chargers are waiving defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Started 14 games this year, so he is owed just under $730,000 for the final final 2 weeks of the season. It's a guy that has 68 career NFL starts, 11 sacks in 5 years. So, again, the question becomes, if the Browns put a claim on him, is somebody with a worse record, because it goes the reverse record. Defensive tackle, you got Maurice Hurst. You're still looking for a veteran. That wouldn't be a bad way to go.
Oh no, I thought I claim in there immediately. I throw my hat in the ring. Siaki just got an opportunity to play last week, but the playoffs are long. You just lost Maurice Hurst. And by the way, if I was him, I'd be chomping at the bit to get over to Cleveland. I don't know if there's anything he can subvert, because if there's one team that you want to play for, it's the Cleveland Browns with an opportunity to go to the playoffs, and you playing under Jim Schwartz and you got Myles Garrett on that line. That is a feast. All you got to do is come in and play hard 5 to 6, 7, 8, 10 snaps, and you might get you a sack. So if I'm him, I love the fact that the Browns should be interested. Here's the problem. There's a lot of other teams that may put that work in. Teams that could be playoff teams as well. You looking at you guys like the Bengals. DJ Reader just went out. You look at teams like the Buffalo Bills. Teams that are under the Browns that potentially would get that claim over the Browns. But it doesn't hurt to throw it out there.
G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, dive deeper into this matchup with the Texans. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Ooh, holiday gold! The $20 scratch-off?
It has 100 times multiplier. I could win $1 million.
Psych! I got merry and bright.
No fair.
It has a 200 times multiplier. I could win $2 million.
Game on the back.
Game on the back. Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave Franklin from Cleveland. Just a couple things. I'm predicting that when the Browns make the playoff, that defense takes it to another level. I'm guaranteeing that. Number two, I want to wish you and the crew behind the scenes at Sports for Cleveland a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for doing such a great job. You guys be safe. Keep up the good work. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's if I don't hear from you again. Great show, brothers. Love you. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it, Frank. Frequent caller, G. Bush. You know what? I would not doubt that whatsoever. If the defense takes it up a notch or two during the playoff, I would expect it. Jim Schwartz will have the buttons being pushed there.
Yeah, they'll be ready to go. There's nothing like playoffs, right? I don't care if you're playing in high school, JV. I don't care if you're playing in college, Division II, Division III. When they start saying this is where the best and only the best are, and you got an opportunity to prove it on the field, that's when everybody steps their game up. Coordinators, players on the field, coaching staff, support staff, even the fans. The crowds are going to be louder. They're going to be more vicious. The speed of the game is going to increase. And I think the Cleveland Browns, being the number one team and the number one defense in the league, having the best defensive player, in my opinion, of Myles Garrett, they're going to be flying around. One of the things that you almost have to ramp down is actually no penalties, no your emotions bubbling over, some of the jittery false starts, jumping off sides type things. But, when it comes down to the get down, they will be ramped up, ready to go. Jim Schwartz will have them ready to go. And he's going to have game plans specifically microscopic towards what that team over across from him is going to be doing. So he's going to have a plan, and that plan is going to be a winner go home plan. So all hands on deck. So, that's the exciting thing about talking about playoff football. He'll have them ready to roll.
All right, so Case Keenum, the starting quarterback. Take a look at this. Last week, Case Keenum had 4 turnover-worthy plays, 0 big-time throws against Tennessee per PFF. 18% of his 229 pass yards came in overtime on one 41-yard pass play that went 15 yards. His yards per attempt, 6.4 for the day. And again, Tennessee's defense is, it's average. It's not as good as the Browns' defense. So that's another thing. Get after him. Get on the receivers. Do not allow him cheap completions, because without him, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, none of that. And that's what I like the best about Jim Schwartz. I think Chris Sims talked about it on I believe Monday Morning Quarterback. He was on there and he said something. He said, you know what? I like Jim Schwartz because he's not like other defensive coordinators. The Browns defense gives you nothing. There's a lot of coordinators like Joe Woods and a lot of other coordinators that are willing to concede certain things. They have this conservative mindset where we'll give you 4 yards, a quick short pass, we'll rally to it and tackle it. So now we put ourselves in position where it's 2nd and 6, and there's some different things we can do to kind of minimize the damage. Jim Schwartz is not about minimizing the damage. As a defensive coordinator, he's about inflicting damage. He's saying, I'm not giving you anything in the zone coverage. I'm a man cover you, and we're going to get after you. So not only are you not getting the 4 yards, we're trying to sack you. We're trying to hit you in the backfield for 4 to 6 yard loss. Oh, go look at that last game against the Chicago Bears. They come out. The Browns are just got the long touchdown to Amari Cooper. All of a sudden, they try to run the football. Myles Garrett is in the backfield for a 6 yard loss. That is bigger than the sacks. That's huge. So now you come out at 2nd and 16. What play do you have to call 2nd and 16? And you know what they say? We're still not going to give you anything on 2nd and 16. We only going to call man coverage. We got our 4 guys going after you, and they get pressure to have them throw the ball away quickly or get a 2 or 3 yard gain. That is what exactly the Cleveland Browns do. And for Case Keenum, good luck, buddy. Because we're not going to give you the check downs and the screens and the button hooks and the 2 yard outs and the stuff that we already know you're running. We're sitting on all of that, and we're going to make you throw this ball downfield.
All right, so let's take a look at a couple of matchups that are important here. So this is from Pro Football Focus, matchups to watch. First one, Nico Collins versus Martin Emerson. Browns have one of the best cornerback trios in the league. Emerson's size, length to match Collins. If the Browns can contain Collins, they should have no problem stopping Texans' offense. Another one to watch, flip sides of the ball. This one, Mac tweets this one out, and this one's interesting. Jerron Christian against the edge rusher, Jonathan Grenard. Past 3 weeks, Grenard, 13 pressures, 5.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Christian has given up 11 pressures and 1 sack in that same span. And Christian, a guy that he's playing left tackle, they signed him off the street. I think of those two, I'm more concerned with Christian kind of holding up with Joe Flacco throwing the football.
We'll see a lot of chipping. We'll see a lot of chipping with David Njoku, who's done a good job of that and chipping and releasing into the flats. You'll see it a lot with Kareem Hunt. They'll utilize him more in pass protections, bigger body, understands it more and more physical. He'll be chipping over there as well. So he's going to see a lot of guys, and we may even slide a little bit to his direction since he's a guy who's been getting that pressure. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you look at what's going on with Nico Collins. He's injured right now. He did practice. It looks like he's going to be limited. However, he's not 100%. Pick your poison, right? You can put Emerson on him. He's not gonna get no breaks in the world with Denzel Ward. You got Newsome in the slot, and even one of their tight end valves, Schultz, has not been 100% the last couple of games. So when we look at this thing right here, it looks like it's gonna be a situation where everything is gonna be under 20 yards. They don't have they tank Dales to get deep. Singletary has played a bit better. I think he's run the ball good. But I don't think that they should be able to handle the Browns up front. If the Browns can get up and change the line of scrimmage, make sure that they stop the run, I don't think the Texans, are going to be able to pass the ball on us deep. But here's the thing. if you let any professional team get up and get feeling good about themselves, especially if they can put some touchdowns up on the board, as the Browns have done traditionally on the road, then everything is a fair game. Because you got to remember, the Texans are looking to get C.J. Stroud back. They're 8-6 right now. They would love to be 9-6 with C.J. Stroud coming back, and they think they can still win that division. So you got to take it from them. All that hope, you got to take it from them early, and I think the Browns can do that and will do that in this game.
What does it look like offensively for the Browns to get it done? Who do you think gets involved? Is it Njoku? Is it Moore? What do you expect?
Early on, I think it's Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper gets involved. I think this running game is a little bit better too, Dave. When you get Poachage back, you'll get hopefully Joe Bitonio can go in this. But if you can get the running game going, play action is going to be devastating for them to stop, because it's a big part of what we do. I think David Njoku also has another big game. I expect him to see a couple tight end screens, maybe a couple plays where they get him out in the open field where he's so difficult to tackle in the secondary. And I think that's just where they go. They start out with Amari Cooper. They find some running lanes on the ground. We might even see Pierre Strong and Kareem Hunt have a couple big runs. And then David Njoku beating people up down the field. I think that's the way they want to go about it. And if they can do that and still continue to push the ball downfield, I think the Cleveland Browns come home for a Thursday night game against the Jets, and they 10-5, and this city is going to be rocking.
G. Bush, as always, man, appreciate the time and the insight. Happy holidays to you. Thanks so much, G. Bush.
Appreciate you.
All right, G. Bush, make sure you check him out. 8 until noon, 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop. You can also catch him on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're step aside, take a quick time out. Video breakdown, film analysis of the Texans. Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, straight ahead. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Browns getting ready for that 1 o'clock road game Sunday in Houston against the Texans. Let's take a film breakdown, video analysis of the Houston Texans. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer as well as the cleveland.com. Lance, this one an important one. Browns 9-5, Texans 8-6. If they end up tied, the winner of this would have the first tiebreaker. So it almost counts as 2 games in some ways for the Browns.
Yeah, when you break down the film, both teams are really done a really nice job with all the injuries they've had. I looked at the IR for the Texans. They've lost a lot of guys up front. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins has been out. They lost Tank Dell. They've lost a bunch of linemen. They've lost some guys on defense, Cashman. So they got some guys that have been hurt, and some guys that hopefully will get back, but not be as productive against the Browns. But this will be an interesting game because there are a lot of backups playing.
All right, let's take a look at this first clip. Their running back, Devin Singletary, has been pretty effective. Just your thoughts on Singletary and his importance.
Well, here's the key. So first down, this is a first down run. They like to run the ball on first down, especially with Case Keenum being in. So the Browns have to stop the run on first down to create those second 5, second 6, second 7 plus. They cannot let Keenum have the choice to pass or run on second short. So this is what they want to do. They want to get to second short. Now, if you can get it to second and third and long, then you put Keenum at a disadvantage. He's a good system quarterback. He's an excellent NFL backup, but he's a guy that can't carry the load. He's a guy you can win with, but he's not a guy you can win because of.
All right, so this next clip is a third down and 10, so third and long situation that the Browns want to put Case Keenum in. What do you see here, and why is this important?
Well, as being a backup, I've always thought, at every level, the backup doesn't get as much work. So C.J. Stroud has been carrying the load. They throw the ball a bunch, so he's created great timing with these receivers and backs. It's a simple check down, Texas route out of the backfield, and he just misses the back. And it could be his fault, could be the back's fault, but really it's just lack of reps. So if you can get him to second, third, and long, he will turn the ball over. He's a veteran. He'll try to squeeze the ball in there. He processes information very well. The Browns, what the Browns do pressure-wise, I think is going to cause Case Keenum a lot of issues. The Browns are going to pack that box. The Browns aren't changing what they're doing defensively. They're going to load the box on first down. They're going to force Case Keenum to beat him with the pass. And I don't know if he can do it by himself, especially with the injuries they've had at receiver, losing Tank Dell. Collins is coming back, I heard, but he's been banged up. Dalton Schultz is the guy they got to watch for, but this is an advantage the Browns have if Case Keenum has to throw the ball all the time.
All right, so you mentioned Dalton Schultz. That is their tight end. He missed a couple of games earlier in the year as well. Take us through this next clip, why it's important.
Well, you see him up top here. He's by himself as a receiver, so he can run all the type of routes, very similar to Njoku, where he can put his hand on the ground. He can also play outside. He can play inline, block zone, block counter, but he's also a matchup nightmare. And with the Browns getting healthy in the secondary and the Texans having some injuries, I think Dalton Schultz versus these backup safeties for the Browns is their best option. Not that the safeties can't compete, but Ward and Emerson are playing at a very high level. I think, Noah Brown's playing pretty well, but the guy there I think is their best matchup is Dalton Schultz against the linebackers and against these safeties for the Browns.
Is Schultz a guy that you could see the Browns maybe putting Martin Emerson on because he can be a little bit more physical? Is that something that
yeah,
go ahead.
For sure, his length. I think we talked about it. You and I have talked about it a bunch. That's a matchup. So the Browns have made their defense to stop the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So Emerson has always been that T. Higgins guy when the Browns. So the reason the Browns had success when Joe Woods was here, as well as when with Schwartz, is the ability to match up with teams. And Emerson gives you that matchup that a lot of teams don't have. They have a guy who can cover a one receiver, but he can also cover big guys, big slot guys. Nico Collins is 6'4", 215. Noah Brown is 6'2", 215. So they got some big guys, especially, and Schultz kind of fits into that mold that they're going to need some bigger bodies on, and I think Emerson fits that role for sure.
On the defensive line, Will Anderson, really talented rookie defensive edge rusher, likely not going to play against the Browns. But they do have another guy. Take us through this next clip, why it's important and what the Browns need to be aware of.
So they got two guys that I really, really like on the defensive line. Cashman is a guy who has played. So their other linebackers, Harris, Cashman are linebackers. Denzel Perriman's a good linebacker. But the two guys inside, Jonathan Grenard has 52 tackles and 12.5 sacks. He's a guy that's got an excellent pass rush plan. He's very good speed to power, number 52 there. He's the one who gets them around the ankles here. He's very, very good. The Browns have to account for him. I don't think they can leave their backup tackles singled up against this guy. The other guy I really like inside is their defensive tackle, Malik Collins. Malik Collins is a guy very, very aggressive, good with his hands, very stout against the run. They're going to have to double him in their run game. So those are the two guys, besides Will Anderson, that have been very good. Will Anderson's another guy that's had some injury issues. But I think those two guys, Collins, especially in the run game, and Grenard in the pass game, the Browns really got to account for.
So is that a concern that it's kind of in the middle because Flacco, not a mobile guy, if pressure coming at you is a little more difficult to get away from when you're not as mobile?
Well, I think, the good thing is Collins is a pretty solid pass rusher, but he's better against the run. So their big pass rushers are on the edge and their forefront. So that's a good thing because you're right. The A-gap pressure for a quarterback is very, very tough. I don't see them getting a ton of A-gap pressure, especially with the Browns being so good inside. Postic coming back, even with Harris, they're very good inside. The Browns are very well schooled inside, and those guards are so good. So I feel okay there. I'll tell you what, a Teller and Batonio versus Collins is the price of admission. I'll tell you that, both in the run and pass game. But I think the Browns will be okay as long as they can do a little bit of play action, keep these guys off, not pinning their ears back, and having to be careful for the run. The Browns should be okay. Flacco gets rid of the ball. He knows what he's doing. They can attack these secondary guys in the middle pretty well.
So let's flip it and see what can the Browns attack offensively. Take us through this next clip and what you think it could mean for the Browns.
Well, I think over the middle is a very important part. So Okonkwo from the Titans has some success in the middle against their safeties and against their linebackers. And they do struggle across. So they play zone, they play man. They're pretty diverse in what they do defensively. But across the middle, they're Stingley, Nelson. They got some guys on the outside that are pretty good cover guys. But where they're weak in terms of coverage would be in the slot. So I look for the Browns to move Cooper into the slot a little bit. Obviously, with Njoku, the backside of the backfield, Ford's done a nice job catching the ball. Obviously, those are short throws for Flacco, getting rid of the ball quick. This is going to be a big week. So if Conquero had a pretty good week, had 3 catches, 60-plus yards last week, I think Njoku's going to have a big week against these linebackers. As good as Perriman is, as good as Harris is, these guys are really good. They're not great cover guys. They're more tackle thumper guys who like to tackle. So make these linebackers cover Njoku, and I think they're at a disadvantage.
The other thing that the Texans defense has been very proficient at is taking the football away. How big of a concern is that? We say it every week, but Browns seem to find a way to turn the ball over and still win.
Well, I tell you what, as a coach, this is going to catch up with you. So they have to stop turning football over. They're playing too close to the best. They don't have that freedom of being able to score 35 to 40 points every time they go out there. They just don't have that explosiveness on offense right now. But what they do have is an elite defense. And I've been saying this for weeks to multiple people. If you end last week, if they end every drive with a kick, that includes a punt, the Bears score 3 points. So if they can do that, if they can protect the football and they can attack those safeties and those linebackers in coverage with, Cooper in the slot and Njoku, the back out of the backfield, take some shots over top once in a while to Goodwin, these guys, I think they just got to keep it close. Browns are going to win these games. Me and you and I have said it for a couple weeks now. They're going to win every game 3 to 5, 7 points max, but it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as an ugly win. There's only ugly losses. So Browns just got to figure out a way to attack the weaknesses of that Texans defense, which is a good defense. They're going to be able to stop the run. The Browns have to throw the ball pretty well this week.
Browns have struggled to run the football. I think it was 1.6 yards a carry. Do they try to do that, or at some point do you just kind of say, we have to work around what we can do on the ground?
See, I've always been against, we're going to throw the ball every time, because what that does, that totally takes the defensive lineman and allows them to pin their ears back. That defensive lineman has to think, whether it's successful or not, that he's going to get run blocked, he's going to get double teamed, he's going to get reached, he's going to get down blocked. That defensive lineman has to think that, because if he doesn't, then he's just getting in those wide 3s and wide 5 like Schwartz like to do, and they're just pass rushing. And when you get to the point where you're just pass rushing, especially with backup tackles, backups to the backups at tackle, those guys are good, but those guys are backups for a reason. They're not going to be able to hold up in there. They're very good if you can run the ball. Even if you don't have a ton of success, that defense has to think you're going to run it once in a while, or they're going to pin their ears back. Browns don't have to run the ball great. They have to run it situationally, and they have to have some big pickups on third down, and then rely on Flacco to do the rest. And I think that can get done with this defense.
Lance Reisland, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Lance.
As always, thanks for having me.
Lance Reisland, make sure you check him out. Always really good film breakdown, video analysis on the Plain on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Sports for CLE will continue. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is dedicated to recognizing exceptional students, teachers, and schools throughout Ohio. Scan the QR code on screen to nominate students and teachers as Academic All-Stars and Teachers of the Month. They must be currently enrolled or teach in grades K through 12. Is your K through 12 school developing students' literacy skills to achieve success in reading? If so, you can nominate your school for the School of the Year. Students can win $100, teachers can win $500, and schools can win $2,500. Scan the QR code, fill out the forms, and nominate deserving students, teachers, and schools today. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program takes pride in honoring exceptional students, teachers, and schools across Ohio. Submit your nomination today. It's fun, fast, and free. We continue talking Browns on Sports for CLE. Mina Kimes from the Mina Kimes Show talking about Joe Flacco's play and Kevin Stefanski's play calling.
You put a 38-year-old quarterback behind them, and yet they're making it work despite that. And I think that's a testament to Flacco, who's looked really good throwing on the move. He's hit on some very impressive passes. Some of the pass to Amari, my God, was like one of the best passes of the entire season.
Of the year,
I think it's also a testament, though, to Kevin Stefanski, because not only has he called a good offense around the offensive line, but he has made adjustments week to week. One thing that I wanted to highlight, the Browns I think it was against Jacksonville, play action game was sensational. 8 for 12, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, play action in week 14. That was almost entirely from under center. This week, again, play action game, very effective, but a lot of their big plays, Flacco was hitting from the gun, where he went 7 for 7 with a 95 QBR on play action. So you're seeing the offense kind of evolve week to week. Some of that has to do with the run game, the competition, the personnel, but like that's good coaching. And I think Kevin Stefanski deserves a ton of credit for what we're seeing from this offense.
Let's welcome in Jacob Roach from Brownswire.com. And Jacob, couldn't agree more. There's a lot of nuance to what's going on with the offense. Would love them to be able to run the ball a little bit better, but that's not in the cards when you're playing 4 non-starting offensive linemen.
Yeah, when you get into a game that has big playoff implications and you only have one of your starting offensive linemen, you really got to kind of adjust on the fly, especially because Joel went down during the game. But, my co-host and I, Casey Kinnaman, we've liked to joke that Joe Flacco has this legendary athletic ability to move outside of the pocket, but we're seeing it. This play action system where Stefanski, this is the stuff that made him a head coach candidate. His ability to adjust on the fly, his ability to scheme with his players. She said it really perfectly there. Like that offensive line, it's not been good lately. I mean, Flacco was under duress a lot on Sunday against a pretty good Chicago Bears defensive line, a very underrated line since getting Montez Sweat, but he finds a way to give him time. I mean, he really needed to set up that pass to Amari Cooper. It was not a quick 2-step drop or anything like that, but he's found a way to move even a less athletic quarterback in and out of the pocket in order to find a way to make it happen. It's a really true testament to the hard work and cynicism. That's not the word. With Flacco and Stefanski, they've been so on the same page here, trying to figure out how to do this. A fun stat for you, Joe Flacco threw a ton of yards outside of the pocket last week, and it was the most we've seen any quarterback throw from outside the pocket since 2018, and it was Patrick Mahomes that did it the last time, throwing out on the run and outside the pocket. It's like that's not what Flacco's known for, but they found a way to make it work, and man, it's been fun to watch.
So Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, on the Browns' chances for a deep playoff run and what they need to do.
You're not going to beat the Dolphins or the Chiefs if they throw 3 interceptions. Now, if he throws 0 interceptions, right, I would go, you're going to have a chance to play with anybody in any game because your defense is that special. And AKA, we saw them beat the 49ers at home when they just take care of the football. Well, in fact, even that day, they didn't take care of it. They threw 2 interceptions in that day, too.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It really is.
So we have some homies out there who are Browns fans that are chiming in with what they want for Christmas for their team. Living Like Lay says, this might sound crazy, but if the Browns can just run it a little bit better and Flacco limits turnovers, who can't beat them with that defense? They beat the 49ers with P.J. Walker. So basically what you
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Said.
Their run game, they could stay a hair more patient. They're beat up on the O-line. I don't think they're totally sold on their running back situation, so they're playing through the pass a little bit more. But, I think you and me at Living Like Lay, we're on the same page in that one.
Yeah. No one can beat that defense is what he is saying.
And Jacob, I don't disagree. If they get any semblance of a run game back and Joe Flacco doesn't turn the ball over, you don't want any part of this team. No part of them.
Can you imagine the play action game if they're actually afraid that they could actually run the ball? Like what that could develop into after what we've seen. I mean, like we just talked about it, Mina Kimes talked about it, like what they did out of play action in this game, in a game where they averaged less than 2 yards per carry on the ground. They did those things through play action. It's just, I keep saying over and over again, or we keep hearing, people say, well, they can't continue to win like this, but they do. If you can clean it up, just like he said, just a little bit, man, get a little bit of a run game, limit the turnovers. If you limit turnovers against the Bears, you blow them out by multiple scores in that game. They scored 3 points on your defense unless it was aided by the Browns offense. So if that defense can play like that, the way they play at home, and you just get just a little bit cleaner football, that's all it's going to take. I don't see a team that I don't think, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're out of it against any team if they clean it up just a little bit.
So this is kind of interesting as well. Amari Cooper is just 15 yards away, receiving yards, from becoming the first Cleveland Brown to record back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And Kevin Stefanski was asked about it. He didn't realize it, and if you think about it, in franchise history, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then you look at all the quarterbacks Amari Cooper's had in just the 2 seasons that he's done it, and it just goes to show you the kind of professional and master technician that Amari is. He's not running 4.2. He's not running 4.3. He's not slow by any stretch of the imagination. He's still a world-class athlete. But he does it because he just puts his head down and he works hard and he hones his craft and he is where he's supposed to be at all times. These big plays that Amari Cooper has gotten from Joe Flacco is throwing to a spot where he knows Amari Cooper is going to be. He's not always throwing to an open Amari Cooper. And we've seen it not work out with Flacco and other receivers when they do that and they're not on the same page. Amari Cooper, he comes in. He's like, oh, you're my quarterback this week? All right, this is what I do. This is where I'll be when I'm going to be there. And then it just works out. And it's like he's had, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks, something like that. And now his second season, like 5 or 6 quarterbacks with Amari Cooper. And it's just like that continues to be the biggest Andrew Berry steal that he's had was flipping a draft pick for Amari Cooper and just prospering.
And you would expect, now 4 games in a row, it'll get better. The timing and that second nature, the chemistry will get a little bit better. All right, so take a look at this tweet. It's kind of interesting. Browns are the only team to have beaten the number 1 seeds this season, both of them. That would be the 49ers and the Ravens currently. They're the only team to win with 4 different starting quarterbacks. And they also have the team with the most salary cap on the injured reserve. It's 26% of their salary cap is on the injured reserve. They still hold the AFC's top wild card spot. So we're running out of words to describe what they're doing and what they're overcoming.
It's like, I mentioned, Casey Kitteman and I, and of course Nick Carnes, who you just highlighted, we do our show. When we were talking about this past game, every time something bad would happen, Casey would just say, oh, don't worry, they just needed a little bit more adversity. Like they don't wake up until a big plate of adversity's in front of them, just wait. And he was right. It ended up, they get behind 17-7. They make a massive fourth down stop by rookie Cam Mitchell, and they just flip it around. And it's like, I say this so many times. I come back to this tweet that I saw Quincy Carrier put out, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he said, how do you solve the backup quarterback problem in the NFL? It's not getting better backup quarterbacks. It's building a great roster around them. And you just continue to look at 2 undrafted free agents started at safety. One of them still a rookie last year that Andrew Berry brought in, and DeAnthony Bell and then Ronnie Hickman, and they played phenomenally. Ronnie Hickman he was the highest graded rookie with over 90 according to PFF. And he was playing free safety, which he was not good at in college. And so you look at this and this roster from top to bottom, the way it's been built and the way these coaching staff have coached up all the players on the practice squad, coming off the street, whatever it is, they just all are bought in. They believe in what is being preached, and they're just getting it done. I mean, I wish I could explain it a little bit better, but I'm on the ride and I'm enjoying it.
So Myles Garrett today asked, are you playing the best football of your career?
My matchup, I think, yes. I'm as successful as I have been in the past, but doesn't mean I can't take it to another level. Doesn't mean I can't find ways to improve or help improve the people around me, my teammates, and got to continue to find a way to make more explosive plays. That's been, I don't want to say lacking, but a little bit of a shortage of late. But got to continue to get the ball for us and make those plays on defense.
If you felt any frustration, have you tried to channel it? Have you been able to turn it into a positive?
Absolutely. Try to we purpose it and use it as motivation, not only for myself but for my teammates. I'm definitely not frustrated at them. They're making plays, they're doing things in spite of what's going on on either edge. So those guys are making the most of opportunities that are presented to them with those one-on-one matchups, and I'm trying to use that as motivation to fight through those chips, those doubles, those triple teams.
Do you play angry? Like, you don't get a call, or you're trying to fight through a double team you can't get through. It just seems like the next snap you have a little extra there.
I don't play angry. I play inspired. I might get frustrated a little bit, but I would never say I go out there angry at anything or anyone.
Jacob, Jim Schwartz has done what he wanted to. He's kind of even taken him to another level, and I believe it's the system and the attitude. The go attack. Don't worry about it. Go attack.
The evolution of Myles Garrett as a leader, especially this year from last year even, has just been amazing. He's bought in, like you said. He's playing fast, aggressive. They've really laid this out. He kind of mentioned he doesn't get upset that his teammates are kind of reaping the benefits. I mean, they had 39 quarterback pressures last week, and they had 10 different players register a pressure. Now, Myles doesn't get home for a sack, but he gets 11 pressures, and multiple sacks are gotten by other players in that situation. And it's just like, we thought this is exactly what we hoped it could be, I guess, is really what I'm saying when it comes to Myles Garrett and that defensive line up front and Jim Schwartz's scheme. And it's just like, I know Myles is frustrated because everybody outside of Cleveland, especially in Pittsburgh, are going to just look at sack numbers. They're going to look at sack numbers and be like, no, he's not defensive player of the year. No, he's not better than TJ Watt. But if you flip on the tape, Myles Garrett is unguardable with 3 people. I mean, it's factual. They're clotheslining him. They're horse collar tackling him, and nothing's getting called. And yet he still registers 11 quarterback pressures in that situation. So I just think what Jim Schwartz has done in putting all of his players, front 7, back end, all of them in the best position to win, has been fantastic. And you've really seen a big step forward, I think, an even better Myles Garrett so far this year.
The other thing is, when you're winning, all the other things take care of themselves, without question. Jacob Roach from Browns Wire and I going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about the Texans game coming up Sunday. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Holiday gold! The $20 scratch-off?
It has 100 times multiplier. I could win $1 million.
Psych! I got merry and bright. No fair. It has a 200 times multiplier. I could win $2 million.
Game on the back.
Game on the back. Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game.
We continue talking Browns with Jacob Roach from Brownswire.com. Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, talked about the approach the Browns need to have moving forward.
He's got to keep in mind. He's got a team here where he can make a run in the AFC playoffs in a big way because of this defense. But don't forget who brought you here. It's the defense, and they got to play through the D a little bit more. And within that, they got to manage Flacco just a little.
It is a really fascinating season for them because of all the quarterback injuries. They're still 9-5 right now. And like you just mentioned, they are 31st in the NFL in interception rate. And they have the most total turnovers in the NFL. So completely opposite to how you would think you'd want to play with this defense. Just don't turn the ball, offense, don't turn the ball over. If you punt it, that's okay. They've done the exact opposite of that, and they're still 9-5.
It's a crazy good. It's crazy amazing. And I could see Stefanski and the organization going, hey, our defense is that good, maybe we can take those chances. My point would be, you're not going to do that in the playoffs against the best teams in football. You're not going to get away with that consistently. You might get away with it against the Bears, who are a young, talented team on the up and up, but still not primed and polished quite yet for playoff type football, right?
Yep.
That is the big thing. You're not going to beat the Ravens if Joe Flacco throws 3 interceptions. You're not.
And again, Jacob, a fair point about as you get into the playoffs, the turnovers are a concern, without question.
Yeah, you can't continue. I think they've had like 4 games this year where they haven't lost the turnover battle, and a couple of them they just tied the turnover battle, so they didn't even necessarily win. Yeah, I've been saying it all year, and I feel like a broken record. Whenever anybody asks me for a key to a victory this week, it always comes back to not turning the ball over, like just being smart with the football, like average quarterback play. And Flacco has given us spikes above and spikes below in a couple of situations so far this year. But like, if you take out those 3 turnovers, you blew out Chicago. Like, I mean, you kept them in there with your offense, kept them in that game by setting them up for multiple scores there. And your defense even almost kept them out of the end zone, except they got 8 tries from inside the 5 on that one interception. But like, they were in goal after one interception, and they took one back. It's like, if you can find a way, I get it. He's 38. He's going to take chances. He's a gunslinger. That's fine. I can take chances. But if you can limit things to a turnover instead of 3 turnovers, just think about the massive impact that 14 points that gets scored on them gets taken away because you're not gifting it to the other team. And all of a sudden, you've got a lot of games where you can get some very comfortable margins.
Oh, without question. I can't imagine, even the Dolphins or the Chiefs, can't imagine them putting together more than 2 drives of 65+ yards against you. You might get a play where you break coverage. You're not getting drives. This defense just does not give up sustained drives. I know you wrote an article, 3 bold predictions for the Browns-Texan game, rather. Joe Flacco continues the hot hand, throws for 300 yards again. Number 2, Myles Garrett breaks his sackless streak, 2.5. Gets multiple ones against the Texans. And David Njoku continues to feast with another 100-yard game. Take us through kind of your thoughts as you wrote that article for Browns Wire.
Yeah, it comes back to the defense for the 2 offensive ones. Comes back to the defense you're faced in Houston. Houston is is top 5 in EPA against the rush. They're in the bottom 10 or so of the league in EPA against the pass. So you're matching up again, just like you did last week, with a team that can shut down the run but has been susceptible to the pass. You're also looking at both really talented first-round picks, and C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson are not going to play in this game. If you take Will Anderson out there, I'm not really totally worried about that pass rush. They've got some other guys there, but they're missing another one of their linebackers as well. They're put in a situation where, especially if they could get Joel Bitonio and Ethan Posick back, and it feels like we're going to at least get Posick back, they're in a position where I think they can hold up better against the pass, and they're going against a defense that just cannot stop the pass. And, Flacco, he finally gave us that Marquise Goodwin bomb. I think we're going to see some more of him trying to stretch the field with 3 and with 8, and I'm really excited to see there. I just think they match up really well, and I think right now the Browns' run game's broken. So the pass game isn't, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and just move on. And that's kind of where I am with the passing one. I go to Myles Garrett. You're facing Case Keenum. And it's not, I love Case Keenum. I'm not taking a shot at Case Keenum, but he's not C.J. Stroud. He's not going to run around like Justin Fields or C.J. Stroud or even a hobbled Trevor Lawrence. And that has really, I think, affected Myles Garrett, because when he's going through the doubles and the triples, if that quarterback can really escape well and change directions, it's hard to change directions as a pass rusher when you got 3 dudes choking you. So I think he has more of a statue back there in Case Keenum, and their offensive line is fine. It's not bad, but I think with Case Keenum back there, a smaller quarterback, not a big arm. Now they're going to try to probably get the ball out of his hands a lot, but I just think that matchup really favors Myles Garrett in the defense. And then you go to David Njoku, and I mean, what more can we say about David Njoku? He leads tight ends in yards after reception. He's the yak king for the Browns. He has 495 of his. He's got 700 and some yards. 495 of them are after the catch, and he's just really and apparently he did this with needing stitches in his toe last week. he just continues to get hurt at home and then not care about it and go out on the field and set career highs. Like he is finally broken out, and he's still only 27. I just want to remind people, it's his 7th year. He's 27 years old. He's in his athletic prime, and he's mossing guys. He's toe-tapping people. He's angry running all over everybody. And David Njoku, as a guy that took a lot of heat for an article I wrote after Njoku's extension, being very excited about it, I am enjoying the David Njoku victory laps that I get to take now.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned Stroud's out, so you mentioned Keenum. What do you expect the defense to do? If I'm Jim Schwartz, I give him no easy throws because he's going to be looking short, easy throws, doesn't have a lot of arm strength, and he doesn't move. So it's tight coverage and get after him.
Absolutely. Because if I was the Texans on the other end, that's what I'm telling Case Keenum. I'm telling him by the time you hit your 3 to 5 step drop, I need that ball to come out right now, because they don't want to stick him back there and let Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Dalvin Tomlinson just feast. I'm mugging. I'm playing a lot of press coverage. Don't give them a cushion because they're going to run slant routes and underneath routes. And we've seen this. Especially with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, we saw this happen from other defenses against the Browns where they were sitting on those underneath routes. And when DTR wouldn't push the ball downfield against Denver specifically, against Denver specifically, there wasn't anything there. You need to sit on that. They're not going to run a bunch of go routes or 25-yard post routes or backside digs 20 yards downfield, because Keenum really doesn't have that kind of arm strength to make those throws. Sit on the underneath stuff, play some press coverage, unleash some of those pass rushers. Maybe let JOK go after him a few times and see how that works out for you.
Jacob Roach, Brownswire.com. As always, appreciate the time and the insight. Have great holidays, and we will see you after the holidays. Thanks very much, Jacob.
Appreciate it, Dave. Happy holidays, everybody. Talk soon.
Jacob Roach, make sure you check him out. Always really good stuff on Brownswire.com. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. No show Monday or Tuesday. Enjoy the holidays with your family. We will see you Wednesday at 4 o'clock on Sports4CLE. Happy holidays, everybody.